Hello. Hello, dear friends. I hope you hear me and you see me. Can you confirm me just that you hear well my voice? And we will start this live. Okay, I'm preparing my tablet. Okay, oops. I have to find my live in English on my tablet because I can't find it. So I can see your comments also. Oh my God, I don't find it. Yes, I found it. Good. Now I put that. Okay. But I still don't see the comments. It's normal because it does not. Oh, no. We have a lot of people there. Okay, I will restart the live on my tablet. I'm sorry, just 1 minute. Okay, that's nice. I have all the comments now. So hello to everybody. Hello to Joe and to Joe. Hello to Abdelmegid. Hello to Fabio. Hello to Alessio. Hello to, thank you to all the moderators of the channel. Thank you to Deus. Thank you to Cece. Okay, so as you know, I am starting again YouTube Live in English, and it is a start. So I have a few people only, but I hope that others will come very soon, like before, when I had a lot of people watching my videos in all the English-speaking world. So just before starting, I have a tour starting the 9th of July and finishing the 19th of July. The tour is full of people, but we still remaining 3 places. So if some Americans or English or Australians want to come, they just tell me, they just write to me very quickly. No need of vax passport or whatever. Only tests before departing. So I'm telling that because as I know that 20 states in USA are free to travel. And as for the French and the others, it will be okay for July. So we hope that travel will be possible again, because it's terrible for us, people who are working about other countries and especially about ancient history. So, hello, Katya. Hello, Natalie. So today is a very special topic. A lot of people think that the Nichiru, the so-called gods, I don't like to tell them gods because in fact they are energies. But the people they use to think that they are a spiritual energy and that's all. And in fact, in Egypt, you have the very interesting and very strong paradigm. It is that something existing in this world is existing also in the other world. And all the mirror thing, very, very used in Egypt. So it's the same for the natural. There are really, really historical Nichiru with body and flesh, like Osiris, like Anubis, like etc. And I am explaining that in all my master classes I'm doing. for the moment in French, but I am finishing a new masterclass, which is about Anubis and Upwout, explaining all the energies of these two nature, very different nature, but working together, and why they are in what they are implicated in our lives, in our daily lives. It's very important. And I explained that they are also historical with flesh and blood. I mean, it existed before as persons, and they follow the archetypes, in fact, of spiritual nature. So today we are speaking about Osiris, the historical Osiris, the Osiris of flesh and blood. Okay, I hope you are ready, and we start now. So, for those who doubt that there was an historical Osiris of flesh and bone, a scene from the Temple of Dendera, engraved in the first dynasty before Christ, informs us that Osiris, exactly like all human pharaohs, benefited from royal names, royal titulature, I think you said, composed of 5 names and based on word play as usual in ancient Egyptian writing. So this is very interesting because a nature like Isis, like anyone, normally don't have to have these 5 names. Only the ones who lived on the earth in Egypt had this name. So Horus' name of Osiris is vigorous of arm. It's Usur. Then you have the Nepti's name. It's vigorous by valor. It is Usur also, but another hieroglyph. Then you have the golden Horus name, which is Osiris Usur. And then the Nisubiti name, which is Osiris, it is Usir. And the name of Sarah, triumphant Un-Nefer. So we find that Osiris has a lot of pharaohs in Egypt, his 5 names, his 5 royal names. In the chapter 175 of the so-called Book of the Dead, indicates that the god was crowned in the city of Heracleopolis Magna, Abydos, which is for the Osirian cult one of the most important places of pilgrimage since the Middle Kingdom. The pyramid text indeed mention that the body of the murdered god was found lying near the banks of the Nile in Nidit, which is also named Gehesti, a territory near Abydos. First of all, I must tell you about Dionysos Bacchus. He has been caricatured as the god of wine, and of course, but he's above all the energy of seeds. You know, Dionysus, Bacchus, we know all that it's the god of wine, but it's not only the wine, it's also the seeds, the crops, and the fertility. By extension, he is the god of joy and the excesses of joy. It is an energy of primary importance among the Greeks, and in Orphism, which is a Greek religious current attested by texts and hymns and the archaeology of artifacts found in tombs. The Orpheus stories. You know, Orpheus' story is when he descends into the hell in search of his deceased wife, Eurydice. And this gave birth to a whole initiatory theology. This theology of salvation, where we recognize the cycle of reincarnation, of which only one initiation will allow you to come out of it to finally join the divine. We choose the Orphic path because then we put ourselves on the margins of the society. We dress in linen, we are vegetarian, and we have the same practices in everyday life that the ancient Egyptians. Their ceremonies are mysterious. The Orphic or Bacchic rites, we say the Neoplatonic Orphanism, but when we know that Plato was totally inspired by Egypt, it's normal, in fact. But we find traces up to 560 before Christ, but it is probably much more older. So you will see why I am talking about Dionysus. You will see. Dionysus is an ancient divine fire. He is the son of Zeus. His festivities are in autumn for the harvests, but also in spring for his return. He is also the god of rebellion and fury. He is above all a thrower of alert, we would say today, and he was the driving force behind the creation development of theater and tragedy. Rome adopted him under the name of Bacchus and assimilated to the Italic god Liber Pater, god of the fecundity which spreads it with abundance, fire of growth, and generation, god of harvest with a phallic character at the origin of the fire of the divine, fire of procreation. Then later, he became the god of the wine that everybody knows. In Greece, Dionysus has always had a fairly secret cult, the center of a theasis, that is to say, that there was a very particular group serving the cult of Dionysus, the Maenads, for being delirious, in fact, or bacchant in French. I suppose it is bacchantes in English, who was not at all originated, in fact, it is not exactly the orgiastic delusions that we attribute to them, but we live, but in fact, they were just very combative. We speak of Mina about the ecstasy, the drink of ecstasy, but not what we said a lot about the orgiastic ceremonies, in fact. So they were wearing leopard skin, panther skins, like the Egyptian same priests who were wearing leopard or other feline skin on them. And the satyrs do not take their, you know, we think that they were completely a caricature of, but they have always been represented in a comic sense, and besides, and before they were not linked to Dionysus. On the other hand, I remind you that Dionysus was born in Thebes, certainly in Greece, because there is a Thebes in Greece also. But it is there where a sphinx devoured all those who could not find the solution to his enigma. You remember, it is Oedipus who delivered the city from the Sphinx. So I just show you for the moment the link with Egypt and Dionysus and all the cult around Dionysus. Dionysus, who visited Egypt and was welcomed by the Proteus king of Pharaohs, was Osiris, brother of the god Hyksos Typhon. It means Set. Proteus, from the Greek, we know that Proteus, the name Proteus, is coming from the Egyptian Pruiti, one of the epithets of the pharaohs, the sublime door, in fact, the sublime door. Homer in the Odyssey calls him the old man of the seas, and he has the gift of prophecy and the power to the metamorphose. Some of the traditions of the Trojan War, but not Homeric, like Herodotus and Euripides, make Proteus an Egyptian king coming from the island of Pharos. Pharos is just in front of Alexandria, at the mouth of the Nile, a small island, a peninsula today where the lighthouse of Alexandria, the flagship word, comes from Pharos. In passing, I remind you that the beautiful Helena of the Trojan War was in the house of Proteus in Egypt, of the pharaoh Proteus, of the king Proteus in Egypt, and that is there that she had trained Paris. So first, you will see where I am coming, because I know I am supposed to talk about Osiris, don't forget. So I show you just some pictures of, so you know, of course, you know Osiris here. Then, this is the plan of Alexandria, and we can see, so the city there, and we can see here Pharos. Oh, sorry, up. Pharos is here, and this is the satellite view of Pharos, Alexandria, the city of Alexandria, and Pharos is at the point of there. It is there, you know, and we know that there are a lot of things under the sea. We found some artifacts, big statues under the sea in front of Pharos in these places, as you know, because Pharos today is under the sea. And this is a picture of Pharos. Pharos is there, according to the ancient pictures. And there you can see the Pharos of Alexandria in this one. You see the lighthouse at the top of the picture. This is Alexandria in the time of the Greek and Romans. a very big, huge city full of life. And okay, so we continue with Dionysus and the king Proteus. The king Proteus was a pharaoh and was living in the Pharos Island in the harbor of Alexandria. So, according to Homer, the king Proteus, in fact, our Osiris, the first who had settled in the delta, used Pharos, a lighthouse, which then became Alexandria, as their oracular island. It was the island where they did oracles, and was very specific place about that. He says that Proteus Osiris lived in a cave where King Menelaus came on consult, and that he had the power to change form. In reality, the King Proteus, our Osiris, as our Osiris of flesh and blood, was very special. He was able to tell prophecies and to change form. It is written in the text. I remind you that Menelaus, in ancient Greek Menelaos, who supports the people, is a king of Sparta, the husband of Helen of Troy, and brother of Agamemnon. Apuleius is a writer, even said that the sistrum of Osiris was steered by him to frighten and drive Set away from Pharos. So we learn that the king Proteus in this island of Pharos, in the harbor of Alexandria, who is in fact Osiris, it is written in the text, had a sistrum, this music instrument, and used to use it in order to drive away Set from Pharos. I remind you that Apuleius, born around 125, is a Platonic philosopher born in Algeria, and he wrote the famous masterpiece Metamorphosis, the Golden Donkey. So inside, he is explaining a lot of things about the soul of the world and the psychoanalysis, etc. It's very interesting. On the other hand, in alchemy, Proteus is the primordial matter. The name in Greek is protogonos, the receptacle of forms, and the words protein and proteins come from Proteus. Proteus, Pharaoh Proteus, which is who is Osiris, gave his name to the proteins. You understand? It's very interesting. So, historical Dionysus visited Egypt and was welcomed by Proteus, king of Pharos, who was in fact, according to the illustrious Greeks, the historical Osiris, brother of the god Ixos-Typhon, it is to say Set. The name in Greek is very interesting because it's to found Tuphos, which means the smoke. So the smoke is the name of Set. It is to say of the devil. It's a for the Greeks, it's a primitive, sorry, my English. It's a primitive evil deity, sometimes considered as a destructive hurricane or as a monster that spits fire, an evil dragon, symbol of evil. So it's very interesting. And in alchemy, Typhon Sat represents the fiery and furious spirit. Typhon was therefore identified with Set, enemy, brother of the royal god Osiris, and Apophis, serpent god of chaos, threatening to annihilate the work of the supreme god Ra. So Typhon, Set, Apophis is the same person, in fact, the same spirit. Apollonius of Rhodes, in the book named Argonautics, and Plutarch, in his book Life of Antony, placed Typhon under the waters of Lac Cerbonis, which, according to Plutarch, the Egyptians called the basements through which the giant Typhon breathes. So this lake, the Lake Cerbonis, is existing in Egypt today. Today, this lake, Cerbonis, is named Bardawil Lake, is a large lake located in Egypt near the northern coast of the Sinai Peninsula. The lagoon is shallow. It reaches a depth of about 3 meters, very salty, and it's separated from the Mediterranean Sea by a narrow sandbank. Lake Bardawil is 90 kilometers long and 20 kilometers wide at its widest point. It covers an area of approximately 700 square kilometers. Bardawil, in the Arabic version of the name, it is an Arabic version of the name Baudouin, the name of 5 Latin kings of Jerusalem. The lake is located in an area which in the period of the Crusades was disputed between the territory of the Kingdom of Jerusalem and Egypt. Typhon Set is in fact a totally evil deity, realizing a dualism encountered in several religions. He is the equivalent of the devil. He is described with eyes projecting flames. He would also be winged and have 100 dragon heads protruding from his shoulders, each of which darted a black tongue, and 100 viper heads protruding from his thighs. Plutarch, in his book named Isis and Osiris, often refers to Typhon to associate him with the Egyptian deity Set. Typhon is also found in more recent philosophers, such as Hegel, who makes the Greek god a representation of evil. He also uses it as a metaphor for the heat of the Egyptian desert. So from all these texts, we have Osiris, who was the king Proteus in Alexandria, and whose brother Set was Typhon. I just see the comments and I continue. Hello, Kevin. Hello, Taranisu. Hello, Mr. Rison. Hello, Emmanuel. Yes, Orphic myths seems to be inspired by Osiris energy. Yes, it is exactly what I am saying. Hello, Pierre. Bonsoir, Pierre. We have a French there. Hello, Sam. Yes, Emmanuel is speaking about my masterclass segment. Thank you very much. He's saying that it's an awesome work containing knowledge I never found anywhere else. Other Egyptologists don't understand and see the gods as energies, the gods. And the fact to name it energies is a new perspective, in fact. So this masterclass, Ahmed, will be in English after 6 months because I have to translate it, and I'm finishing the second masterclass. Okay, so we continue. Plutarch, who is the author of several treatises and morality books and morality books, etc., philosophy and theology. The book on Isis and Osiris relates to Egyptian beliefs. This Plutarch is an author, the first to summarize and expose the Osirian myth in a linear narrative. The story begins with the mythical establishment of the 365 days of the solar calendar. We will come back to it. Plutarch reports that Osiris Pharaoh taught his people civilized ways so that men no longer look like wild beasts. He taught them agriculture as well as respect for the gods and the laws. The oldest Egyptian archaeological documents concerning Osiris confirm the statement of Plutarch. A fragment of an architrave of the 5th dynasty lets us know that from his culting beginnings, Osiris was named the Great Lord of Maat. Osiris who presides over Busiris, the city Busiris, and in all his places. In fact, Busiris means the city of Osiris. The cosmic mast, I remind you of the deification of the will and of the royal order. That is to say that Pharaoh had to participate actively and reciprocally in a necessary human solidarity and to encourage his population to do so, and so that you understand the you have to understand that the anti-Maat behaviors is laziness, mental deafness, and greed. At the height of old kingship, Maat is a typical attribute of the human king. Supreme power must pass from the earthly world to the divine plan. Very important to understand that, because the ancient Egyptians repeated this a lot. A passage, a moment in the writing from the teaching of Tahopet shows us that the Egyptian scholars linked the establishment of Maat to the reign of the pharaoh Osiris, and they wrote Pharaoh Osiris. The Maat, I am quoting the teaching of Tahotep, the extract from Maxim 5. The Maat is powerful and of perpetual effectiveness of action. It cannot be disturbed since the days of Osiris. Punishment is inflicted on those who break the laws. This is what escapes avoids attention. So you see, the pharaohs had to be of a great morality. I hope one day all the presidents of all the countries will be like this again. It's a big thing, you know. And Plutarch made of Osiris and Isis sovereign benefactors. Osiris taught humans the basics of farming and fishing, while Isis taught them weaving and medicine. During this time, Set ruled over the desert and hostile lands as well as over foreign lands. Jealous of his brother, Set planned the assassination of Osiris. So, for the moment, all that is writing as Osiris was living on the earth, you understand? It was not myth or something like that. It was a real person. Now, let us observe something else. It is said that the Phrygian Adonis was turned into a pine tree by the goddess Cybele, and that he fell and died due to the attack of a boar. Set disguised as a boar killed Osiris. Apollo the Greek, disguised as a boar, killed the Syrian Adonis or Tammuz, who loved Aphrodite. In Ireland, it is Finn Mac Cool, disguised as a boar, who killed Diarmuid, the lover of the Irish goddess Grain. An unknown god with clothes with another skin as a boar killed Zeus, the Arcadian king, devotee of Artemis. The Cretan Zeus was also killed by a boar, and in fact, as death and October represent the boar or the wild ass in many traditions. We are also talking about a calendar, and in particular, a change of calendar. Thus, Adonis is a god of the year which begins the new solar year, the new sun, and Typhon, Set, the god of the declining year, the end of the year, destructive winds, Set's breath being the scorching wind of the southern desert, elsewhere, even today, still causes waves of criminal violence in Egypt, Africa, Libya, southern Europe. So you see all the correlation, all the links between all that. It's very rich. I'm watching. I will answer you some after. So, in any case, it is said that the entry into the port, the harbor of Pharos, was done along a long quay made of stone blocks in pentagon checkerboard, which is hard to achieve for a construction. And experts say that the number 5 must have a very great importance, going so far as to say that Pharos was to be the center of 5-season calendar system. Those who will take my masterclass later, when it will be in English, will have an ancient 3. They will get an ancient Egyptian 3-season calendar. What further strengthens the status of Osiris as real king of Pharos near Alexandria are also the great feasts of the ancient months of Khoiak, which is October, November, the season of October, November, that of it is the months of the mysteries of Osiris, which still took place in our Heraclean Pharos. On the 14th, in the greatest secrecy of the temples, the priests made an effigy of Osiris. I have to tell you also that Osiris before was named Sokar. Okay, it's very rich, all that, no? And so the priests made an effigy of Osiris with silt from the Nile and around 12 spices, and they added 12 spices: myrrh, scented reed, Ethiopian rush, Lebanese pine, juniper, mint, and 24 precious minerals crushed into powder. So you have 24 equal 8 by 3, multiple of 3 symbol of plurality. The turquoise, lapis lazuli, amethyst, amber, gold, galena, silver, carnelian, hematite, and jasper. All in relation to the main cosmic cycles, such as the lunar phases, the floods of the Nile, the germination of the fields, and even the solar revolution. From the text of the pyramids, the Egyptians lost minerals, medicinal plants, the glow of the stars, and their cosmic cycle. The Egyptians were speaking about minerals, medicinal plants, the glow of the stars, and their cosmic cycles as proofs of existence of the divine. The gold solar light day, the golden solar light in the day, the yellow of the Nechelu, they were speaking about that. It is to say the light. The silver, as for the silver, it is the lunar light, the night, the white and the framework of the Nechelu. The lapis lazuli, it is night, dark blue regeneration and invisibility. The turquoise is light of dawn, birth, rebirth, turquoise, and visibility. The green feldspar is the light of the vegetal green, the growth, the green, it's all green, in fact. And the cornelian, it's the light of the fire, the destruction. Then you have the red, it is a red jasper, light of the blood, destruction. And you have also the sparkling light, greenery, pale green. So they take all that, they put the mixture in 14 vases called debats, corresponding to the 14 pieces of the dismembered Osiris. It is to say the 14 days of reconstitution of the moon in the ascending phase. So you understand, all the story we know is about the planets and the energy of the planets. Then mixed thanks to this mixture, they mix everything. You know that they found this mixture in a very large quantities at Pharos, at the knees of a statue of Nut. It's very interesting. And so they put all these mixed elements for 7 days in a temple. And because Osiris, according to the text, had been generated in 7 months. Then they pour everything into a gold mold bearing the image of Osiris and place it on the branches of a sycamore tree. You know that the sycamore tree is a symbol of the axis mundi, of the axis of the planet. So I show you a photo of the mixture put inside Osiris' little sarcophagi. You see, this is a little sarcophagi, very small, and sorry, I have put that. And you know, the sarcophagi is in the shape of Sokar, which is the ancient Osiris, and inside you have Osiris, and all the body of Osiris is with all that mixture. So then watching if I have other pictures before. Yeah. So on the 22, they were doing a procession around the Temple of Ammon in Pharos. 34 boats illuminated with 365 lamps. On the days of the year and on a boat, there was a second Osiris vegetating like this, exactly. So they put a little mummy of Osiris with green inside, seeds inside, in order it is germinating. And I can show you a true piece of museum. So you see the Osiris germinating, and very special. Oh yes, I forgot to show you the Thebes in Greece. Thebes in Greece is there, you see. It's corresponding to the Thebes in Egypt. And so in a boat there was a second Osiris vegetating, and on 33 other representation of Necheru protecting. The vegetating Osiris, in fact, they made two little statues of silt. The statues are 50 centimeters long, representing in a small sarcophagi, and they put everything on a wooded mound that represents the place under which Osiris was, and representing the Osiris Sentiamenti, the one who came out of the depths of the earth, and the other for the Osiris Sokar, the one representing the underground refuge, of which, according to my research, is in Rostow. A part is in Rostow, Giza, and the other in Abydos. They also made small beds stretched out of canvas, as I just show you, and which we sketched the outlines of Osiris' body. Then they poured bitumen, earth, and seeds. The photo I just show you. I show you again. So bitumen and seeds. That they watered until germination, and with these germs they were making the bread of life. So with these seeds I show you, with the shape of Osiris, and with all the mixture I show you, with the seeds and the elements and the stones and everything in powder, they made the bread of life. It is to say, the communion, in fact. Then, on the 29th of the month of Hoyak, it is our November 14th, they made a second procession of boats at sunset with the statues of Osiris, the one of the previous year, along the quays in the sacred ways of the Osirian ceremonies, until Canopus, the city of Canopus, and the pilgrims sang and made offering to acclaim Osiris, returning from the kingdom of the dead, and so that the prosperity of all Egypt be maintained, and that the beneficent floods of the Nile continue. Okay, I continue. All these ceremonies were in fact a great ritual of reparation in the face of the damage caused by evil and a rite of renewal of life, of the rebirth of vegetation and of the resurrection of the dead, because as I have said and repeated in several of my lives, the ancient Egyptians considered the earth as a place dominated by evil and chaos, and that we had to constantly connect with the divine by renewing our link with it so as not to leave a free hand to the chaos. This is the most important lesson of the ancient Egyptian. So, in this life, I show you that Osiris existed also as a true king, as a true pharaoh on the earth of flesh and blood. He was living in Pharos, in the harbor of Alexandria. We have a lot of documents about him and all the connection he had with other people in the same moment of history, and all the connection also with the Osiris, the mythical Osiris, the energy of Osiris, which is in fact regeneration, metamorphosis. And this is exactly what was also the true Osiris, the flesh and blood Osiris. So this is very interesting and very special. Well, so I see some questions. So Der Meister is telling that Christianity is a copy of Osiris. Well, you know, I have a theory about that, which is totally different from the others, as I used to be. In fact, it is much more complicated than that. In fact, you have a lot of, you know, you have Krishna, you have Osiris, you have a lot of person who lived really on the earth. But in fact, they are repeating. They existed for true. They really existed on the earth as human beings. But along all the time, they are renewing again. They are doing again. They are incarnating the first principle, the first principle of Osiris, of etc., etc. It is to say that it is a cycle of reincarnation. It's a cycle of germination of the same great principles. It's very interesting. So I have to explain more that one day in one of my lives. So, yes, Der Meister. I'm sorry for my English speaking. I hope I will improve very quickly. And for that, I'm doing all these lives in English now, even if there is not a lot of people for the moment. But it's because I want to do much more. I want to explain much more things to you in English, because I did in French. I have more than 100 lives in French, and I have the masterclasses in French, and the videos and the articles in French, etc. You can also see articles on my website, gigalinsights.com. You know, my name is Gigal, not Gigal. I know that you pronounce it Gigal, but in fact it's Gigal, because it's a very specific name. It is the name in reality of the city under the Great Pyramid. Okay? So it has a lot of sense. It has a lot of meaning, you know, very important. So you go to my website, gigalinsights.com. Please register to my newsletter. I will send you the videos, etc., the lives, etc. And also, I want to share with you a lot more, but I'm starting again from a long time to do videos in English. And in fact, it's the first time I'm doing lives in English, because before I was doing videos, but it's completely quite different, you know, it's not the same. But I need to pass on to give my knowledge to other people. I did in French, and I continue in French. Just before this live, I had a French live. And I hope that after a while, a lot of people will come to my English-speaking lives, even if I am speaking about very rare topics, and it's sometimes complicated, but I know that I will improve also to explain to you in English, and you will support me in order I continue, because I have a lot of I have really a lot to say. So my friends, it's time for me to leave you. I remember that we have 2 lives in English. I do 2 lives in English by month. So the first Saturday of the month and the last Saturday of the month, and always at the same time. So I think next week we have one other English live. And we continue. So thank you to give me courage to continue in English. And, you know, it's more easy for me to speak Italian, Spanish, Chinese also, because I learned Chinese during 7 years in university, and to speak in Egyptian, of course, even in ancient Egyptian, than in English. So I will improve that, I hope, and you will help me, please. So thank you very much, and thank you for the courageous ones who are in direct there. We're there. And if you have any question, please tell me now. Have a good night too, Alessio. And see you very soon, my friends, and courage anywhere you are in the world. A lot of courage in these very difficult times, crazy times indeed. But, you know, the light of the sun is always coming. So take care and see you very soon. So bye-bye.